Let's talk Casper, and I don't mean the friendly ghost. And if you don't get that reference, then I am old and you are missing out on a really good movie from the 90s.
Am I chewing too loud?
Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, if you couldn't tell by the title and the intro, this is going to be about the CASPER exam, specifically the 2022 version because there are changes from previous cycles. As always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. There's probably a graphic popping up somewhere to remind you that right now. But let's hop right into it. So what is the CASPER exam? The CASPER exam is a situational judgment type test that more and more medical schools are requiring as part of the ever-growing application process. Basically, it's a bunch of scenarios that you see and they want you to respond how you would handle that specific given circumstance that they present to you. There are a lot of differences between this year's version compared to last year's version. They have updated it, so I want to talk about the changes because they are pretty substantial. The CASPER exam used to be just one flat out section of scenarios, you write the response. Now it's broken into two different sections. First, you have the video scenario and word scenario responses, and then you get a break, and the second half is the video responses with other scenarios as well. Biggest change, the old CASPER exam was completely type response only. This cycle, not so much. There is a brand new video response portion. Apparently CASPER has been hearing the ever-growing complaints that the old version functioned like a speed typing test, and what they were finding, or at least what they were hearing, was that people who had a faster word per minute typing speed were able to squeeze more justifications into their answers than those who had lower typing speeds. So they solved this by doing a really it's 18 questions because it's 3 questions per scenario. So it's 6 scenarios, 3 questions per scenario for a total of 18 questions for that video portion. So the old CASPER exam was comprised of 12 scenarios, and of these 12 scenarios, 8 of them were video-based, where you would watch a situation and you would answer the question, and 4 of them were word-based, where the situation would be worded in the screen and then followed by 3 questions related to that one for you to write your response. Also, the test has gotten longer because yay. So the old CASPER exam from previous years up until last year took anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. The new one takes anywhere from 100 minutes to 120. When I took it last week, I ended up using the full 120 minutes. So the new CASPER exam is now 15 scenarios instead of the old 12. Of those 15 scenarios, 10 of them are video-based and 5 of them are word-based, which means we have more scenarios to work through. 9 out of the 15 scenarios on the new one require a typed response, and like I said previously, 6 of the 15 require a video recorded response. The scenarios themselves are pretty much the same though. You're gonna get a situation, they have this on the practice one, so I feel like I'm not giving anything really away. Coworker dilemma, personal relationship dilemma, what would you do as a friend? Majority of the word-based ones, and if I'm remembering correctly, all of them that I had, the word-based ones that flash on the screen were pretty much, reflect on a time when yada yada yada, and then you would have questions following that and you would reply it out. Those are pretty much the changes. So what was my experience with the CASPER exam? So I took the CASPER exam last week, and honestly, it wasn't that bad. I actually kind of enjoyed it. I found that time went by really quick. I think it's 5 minutes per scenario. That goes by like that. I enjoyed the new video response portion. After doing years now through the pandemic on Zoom, talking into a camera like I am now, really wasn't that challenging. I just also felt that I had more opportunity in the video portion to showcase my personality and how I would handle a situation. I did find it challenging that the video portion responses were only a minute long per each question. So you have 6 scenarios in the video responses, 3 questions each for a total of 18 questions, but you really only get a minute per question to answer, and if you're talking mid-sentence, the camera cuts you off and you're done. So I would have liked maybe a little bit more time for the video responses, but like I said, I'm already at 2 hours for taking this test. I don't want to make this a 3-hour or 7-hour MCAT type of test. But I found the exam fun. You know, it was kind of one of the few times during this application process where you really get to showcase kind of more of your personality and who you are, because it's really hard to show that in a typed response, especially if you don't have the typing speed of like a professional. I do remember being thrown off that I thought I was looking too much off camera because you have to reflect on your experiences and how you would do things, and I felt like just staring at the camera the entire time could have been a little, I don't know, psychotic. But we'll see. I haven't gotten my score back yet. Tips on what I would do for the CASPER exam. So there's really not a clear-cut way to study for this test, and I know that drives pre-meds crazy because up until this point, pre-meds pretty much have studying for tests down pat. You've probably already taken the MCAT, studied for months on that. You've done the undergrad or the post-bac. You've met the requirements. You've taken all the tests. So you pretty much at this point have your method of studying down. With the CASPER exam, you really can't study. And I know this is a really, really big opinionated thing when it comes to the CASPER exam. You can go on Reddit, you can go on the ad infinitum number of videos on YouTube to see if there are certain structures you should use to respond, if there are certain ways to prep with like a printout sheet. You really can't. Just let your personality come through. There's really no right or wrong way to answer these questions. There's so many different creative solutions you get to come up with for each scenario. And I think pre-planning those kind of will hurt your spontaneity of your response. What prep did I do? I definitely took a speed typing kind of test to see what my words per minute is. Words per minute is. I need to go back to my English class for that one. But I did just to see if I was hitting the threshold. I think they recommend that 50 words per minute is average. Thankfully, and I'm gonna brag about this because I don't get to brag a lot about many things, mine was 87 words per minute, which if I read correctly was kind of professional typing speed, so this millennial still can compete in some areas. Definitely did help me when it came to responding on the typed portion, I think. So definitely if you are a slower typer, practice that. I also took notes during the scenarios. I took out 2 sheets of regular printer paper, and as the scenario was going through, I wrote down, the names of the people because they're kind of, I'm not gonna lie, they're kind of unique names. They're not standard names you'd hear like, Bob or Sue. They're creative. So definitely I wrote those down to make sure my response showed that I was paying attention to what was, being said in detail. I also wrote down, what my role is. Before every scenario, they will literally say like, you are a friend or you are a coworker. So it gives you kind of an idea of what your role is in the situation. And just basic standard notes of, what my thought process was at the time, and maybe I would do this or maybe I would do that. But nothing really too super heavy, just kind of enough to have me jump off of and go with my answer somewhere. The other thing is I did look at other responses online. I did check out the Reddit. I did look at YouTube videos just to kind of get a thought process of what this test may be. And even though that the format of the test has kind of changed a lot, the responses and the scenarios are pretty much the same. The biggest thing you can do for this exam, and I highly, highly recommend everyone to do it, is take the practice CASPER exam. It's free once you sign up for your test. It's a full practice exam, so it'll get you used to the format, including the new video portion. The only thing that's kind of a bummer is you don't get a score at the end of it. Typically with the CASPER exam, you do not get a score breakdown of how you did on your test. The schools that you're applying to do get them, but you get a quartile report in about a month after you take the test. It's only been a week for me, so I don't have my quartile report yet. I wish I did, but I don't. So when you take the practice CASPER exam, you don't get the score back, but you do get a feel for timing. And that's the biggest thing to prep for on this exam is timing, because it will go by a lot quicker than you think it will. So by doing the practice exam, you get a flow down of how long it takes you to write a response, how long it takes you to write notes for the response, and how long you have to respond for the video response portion of the test. At the end of the day, CASPER exam is really not that bad. I thought it was really fun. It's kind of the first time I thought creativity was allowed in the application process, and someone like me who doesn't have really a background in science, my major in college was film and media studies, I thought it was really cool to showcase that applicants are more than just an academic Olympian. So do the practice exam, cut yourself some slack, relax, and have fun with it, because at the end of the day, they're just trying to get a gauge of who you are as a person and, you know, if you've got the compassion, empathy, and communication skills that every physician should have. Thanks for watching this. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you next time. Take care, everyone.